Climate change is a global phenomenon, and Ladakh is no exception. Temperatures have risen beyond normal averages, impacting glaciers that are crucial freshwater sources. The Ladakh Ecological Development and Environmental Group is a non governmental organization based in Leh, Ladakh. Established in 1983, it focuses on promoting sustainable and ecological development in the region. We spoke to director of the organization, Ishey Tondup, about his take on the state of Ladakh's environmental health. What are the major changes that you see are happening in the ecosystem in Ladakh?
You know, Ladakh Ecological Development Group has been working since 1983 when it was started. So that time, the people who have been working in this organization, they thought that the first and foremost important is to make the people understand to how to keep the balance with the development and our tradition, our culture and our environment. You know, for the last 2 decades in Ladakh, we get too many tourists from abroad as well as from domestic tourists. And during summertime, we have more than our population outsiders. So that means we cannot make a proper balance. Whatever, for example, water is concerned, you know, water is started very scarcity here. So all the glaciers are already melted. So I remember that when I was young, all these mountains, which is you now completely barren, you know, during summertime we used to have snow and glacier there. And due to overpopulations, due to lot of pollution, lot of traffic, too many constructions, the balance has already been just decreasing. So there is no balance. So people, you know, they have to understand the importance of keeping area neat and clean, how to make the environment free of all these pollutions. So for that we go to the villages and we make people understand why it is important. So during the peak winter is very harsh, you know. For that, you know, we also give some kind of solution to the villagers, to the people, that we try to trap solar energy to heat their rooms. We provided them trombe wall type houses, Pesu solar houses, and water lifting through solar energy. So these kind of things, they understand that without using fuel, without burning woods and cow dungs, we can just keep a balance to avoid the pollution of the environment.
You were talking about glaciers melting. How much percentage of the glaciers in Ladakh has melted in the last, let's say, 20 years?
I think I should say that about 80% of the glaciers already melted, because now for the Leh is, for example, this Leh village is concerned, it is all depends on the glaciers. In Kardongla Pass, we used to have lot of reservoir of glaciers, but almost when we go there, it is already melted. Now, because of that, you know, people are now digging water borewell. All the houses, all the hotel guest houses, they have borewells, and that borewell also goes down because of there is no recharge. We get less and less snowfall. Then there is a if there is a rain, unprecedented rain, sometimes flash floods and everything comes. That instead of helping, instead of providing good for the people, it also harm. And there is a flash flood that we know that in 2010 there was a big flash flood which you know, many people were lost their lives and a lot of damages is done. So these kind of things, you know, happening in Ladakh because of the environmental changes, because of the global warming. So for that, there is no proper, you know, everyone is just for their own sake, they are taking water from the ground. So that also, the water level is, we have seen that going down too much.
So now what is the water situation here? I believe there's a lot of scarcity of water.
As of now, if one see there, we can say that there is no water scarcity because people see that the water is going flowing down to the stream, but there is no proper water management. That is the problem. If we have make a reservoir for when we need the water, then for the time being there is no. But in the years to come, we definitely say that less and snowfall, no rain, that will definitely make water scarcity.
Because if the glaciers have all melted, the water is not being stored anywhere, there's no dams, nothing, you're not producing electricity out of it, hydroelectricity. Don't you have envisaged any programs like that? Is the government thinking in terms of hydroelectric power, in terms of dams, in terms of, preserving water, storing water somewhere?
As of now, I don't see any such big projects going on, but definitely there is a hydroelectric power plants are going on. But in the past, every villages they used to have their we call ponds, and they store the water there. Whenever there is a water scarcity, turn by turn they just give water to the fields, house to house. That makes very comfortably they irrigate their agricultural lands, whatever they need. But now there is no such thing. And in the past we used to have water management person in the villages. So he distribute waters whenever needed, wherever needed, turn by turn. But now most of the agricultural lands are converted into buildings in lay, and whatever little bit water there might be need for the tourist sector, they dig the water from the ground level.
But why?
Because there is no water, for them.
So why isn't there any proper management of where construction should take place? You have certainly some authority, political authority in your own hands
It also, it has to be the government policy. There has to be government policy, But as of now, unless and until we have strict regulation or water policy, this kind of things it is very difficult to control. So there should be a policy and there should be a proper regulation. Then only. Right now, construction is being on everywhere. Too many constructions.
And all these mountains are being broken down.
Yeah, all these mountains are.
So the government has done nothing about it?
They might be having some kind of policy, but then I don't think they can. For example, stop Kangri, the stop glaciers, Earlier, too many tourists used to go there. The villager itself, they stop letting people go to them because they are polluting the areas. So these kind of things, if the village level or the government level can do something, then definitely we can say that we can just have some time to this kind of things.
What is your biggest fear for Ladakh?
Biggest fear is, of course, see the water is the biggest fear. Without water, we cannot do agricultural land, whatever you have. Even tourism, too many tourists are. Overpopulation of tourism is a big issue. There is no regulated policy to stop tourism. So unless and until this, now we have about in Leh, Ladakh 2.5 lakhs of peoples, and during summer we have more than our own population. So we cannot bear this kind of things, in future.
So roughly around 4 to 5 lakhs during summer?
Yes, more than that, more than that.
That includes the migratory labor.
Yeah, and during summer, too many migrants, all the laborers are coming from outside, So they are using too much water.
What are your other major issues that you're seeing? Of course, the glaciers are melting, the ground level water is going down. Is there any other major issue that's happening? What about the forest, the agriculture? What's happening there?
Definitely agriculture. For example, in cities, agriculture land almost is gone. People have given up. And from the villages also, people are migrating to Leh for their own livelihood. So in villages also, I have seen that in many villages, due to scarcity of water, they also just abandon many of their fields. That is the biggest problem. Right now, we get Russians, we get everything. it is not a sustainable thing, unless the ground, the agricultural land, we feel that it is most important. Whenever there is any crisis, we just go back to the land and we can produce whatever we need.
Has there's also talk of the fact that the crop has changed. For instance, the original traditional crops are no more grown, but you've changed because the weather has changed.
Yeah, weather has changed. Of course, in the villages still they do here, but in the other places, most of the people now growing vegetables, not wheat and barley, because of the scarcity of the water, maybe because by selling vegetables they get more earning, because in the field, whatever labors they do, whatever expenses they do, that doesn't come back, So that is why they are not growing these kind of things.
So wheat and barley is not grown anymore for export or for...
Export, there is no
There's no question,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
even for distribution within the other parts of the country, it's not being done.
Not being done.
So you've lost revenue.
The revenue also lost. Revenue of the agricultural lands. Otherwise, even self-sustained, for the self, for the in houses. In the past, we used to have cows. We used to have agricultural lands. We used to have everything. We produce whatever our
Right.
need. But now that is gone.
So are you importing food like wheat, barley?
Everything
Is imported.
Yeah. It is
But
imported.
earlier you did not.
Earlier, no. We are self-sufficient.
So since when has this started?
It is now more than, I think, 50 years now, more than 50.
But what led to this cataclysmic change within the ecosystem?
Because there is the rationing system, subsidized things people get. So they feel that why not we do that, why we walk there in the field.
Plus the water problem,
Plus the water problem.
plus the labor problem.
Labor problem, even more expenses, whatever they incur money and that doesn't come.
Are there any other things that you would like to make? For instance, forests. Did you have a forest cover earlier?
No, very less. Now, of course, people are growing more and more trees everywhere. There is a green revolution is going on here. So many trees are growing, and that is also good. But on the other hand, scarcity of water is because of earlier we used to get a lot of snowfall, and now less and less snowfall. Less and less rainfall is almost negligible. So that is the biggest problem. And on the other hand, there are unemployment problem here in Ladakh. Most of the graduates, they are not getting good job. And now, important of education, every parents know that why education is important. Yes, their parents and their children, they expense all their income for the sake of getting good education for their children. But now there is unemployment crisis also here. These are some of the problems we do see.
Where do you see it heading? Do you see a lot of mass migration out of Ladakh? What do you see as the future of Ladakh?
As such, there is no mass migration out of Ladakh, but people, only those very well educated people, they of course migrate, otherwise they are here. But then in future, definitely that also can happen if they don't get good employment opportunity here. Those who are well educated, definitely they can go out. Of course, our own language, our own culture, everything is losing,
Is getting lost. Why?
Because, due to the modern education, to get proper education, the parents send their children to outsides to get good education. So even many of our children, they cannot speak proper Ladakhi. They cannot write our Ladakhi language, our tradition. In the past, we used to have very good relation with, working together. If I need something, we go to other house. If I need any help, we go to helping each other. This kind of tradition we do have. That is almost lost. Everyone is after earning money for their own self.
A major concern of most Ladakhis is the influx of industry that may further negate the already fragile ecosystem of Ladakh. So the fight with the central government is on for implementation of the sixth schedule that would grant Ladakh significant autonomy in legislative, executive, and judicial matters. Of course, the eventual aim is to move on from its current union territory status and gain statehood.